What's up, y'all? This is Neena Perez. This is Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. I was just telling Adrian how my son is a music engineer. So that beat in the beginning, that's my son right there.
Oh,
I'm always like rocking out to it. You know what I'm saying?
there you go.
So that right. So I have a great guest for you guys. As you guys know, I go around this amazing planet looking for the best humans on it to come on here, grow, challenge, and transform your thinking. So today I got somebody for y'all. Drum roll, please. His name is Adrian Moreno. He began his career inside the health and fitness space while also gaining unparalleled experience with hypnosis and NLP. That's my boy, establishing himself as a respected transformation specialist. He is also the co-creator of the Neuro-Remapping method, and he specializes in helping entrepreneurs eliminate social and performance anxiety in 3 sessions or less. He is not playing games with y'all, okay? So, Adrian, thank you so much for being here. I welcome you to Straight Talk.
Thank you so much for having me. I love your energy. And funny story. I used to rap. I have maybe 20 something songs I recorded in high school. So it's funny when you say your son's a music engineer. I was like, oh, well, that was my world. And so super fun.
Super fun. That's awesome. We could get into that.
Funny how things end up.
Isn't it? I mean, I'm 50 now, but when I was younger, I was a break dancer, and I also used to sing freestyle music. So I totally get it.
No way. Oh my God. That's why the vibes. I love it. We're going to become the best of friends after this.
Right. Watch. That's awesome. So, Adrian, I always like to kick off the show by letting my audience know a little bit more about you. So I'm going to ask you the question of the day. Who are you, Adrian? Who are you?
Well, I guess at the most fundamental level, I'm this energy that expresses itself as Adrian. And what I mean by that is what I like to do and how I like to define myself is basically I am this life. I always believe that life supports that which supports life, right? And I like to say I'm just this force of energy that likes to add life to other people. And a little bit about me, the quick story that actually breaks down a lot about where really how I got here was I lost 91 pounds first off in 2017. So I didn't I didn't just lose the weight. I lost a person who gained it. And the word person comes from the word persona, which means the false mask. So it's like a way of seeing yourself. And I lost 91 pounds. And after I lost 91 pounds, I started fitness coaching. And I was fitness coaching. I was helping people, get in shape. And while I was doing that, business took off the first year. I made a little bit under $500,000, and it blew up really quick. And I didn't have a job before. I was just straight up selling weed, and that was my thing. And then so all of a sudden start making all this money. I was like, this is really interesting how this happened.
Right.
And I experienced with a lot of entrepreneurs experience where you start winning for the first time on another level. Then all of a sudden you just get hit by crippling levels of doubt and fear and all of that stuff. And so while I was going through this phase of constantly I was waking up every morning around 3 a.m. because I could not go back to sleep. I'd wake up with knots in my stomach. I was just so scared all the time. And I had no logical reason to be scared. Everything was working out, but I was just waking up really emotionally off. And that's the thing. Emotions are not logical. A lot of people try to understand them, but they're difficult to do so. And at this point, I was also experiencing something funny in my coaching business where people would pay me $5,000 because it was always high tickets. So I'd have somebody pay me $5,000 and they would change their life, and have another person pay me $5,000 and they would throw this big book of excuses at me as to why they couldn't do the things I asked them to do, or really that they wanted to do to get where they wanted. And so at that point, instead of getting angry, I just get really curious. And I'm like, maybe if I understood what was happening in their psyche, I can make something switch where I can have ideally 100% success rate. And I was like, okay, let me get into figuring out how the brain works. So I Googled one word, neuroscience. And that led me down the longest
Yes.
rabbit hole I've
Me too.
like, that was it. Like, the first video that popped up was the Dr. Joe Dispenza video. I
Mhm,
heard of
mhm. Oh,
him,
he's good too.
right?
Yeah.
And, like, I
Yes.
heard of him, but
It's
I
really
never,
good.
like, looked into his work, and so he was talking about these things called neurons and how they come together and create
Yep.
neural pathways. And so I'm like, "Oh, if you wanna change what you're doing or how you're being, change your neural pathways, rewire, because
Mhm, mhm,
you can't create new neurons, but you can rewire them." So I was like, "Oh, that's an interesting concept." So I start really looking into how to rewire neural pathways. And you get, of course, you see a bunch of things around therapy. I'm
mhm.
studying like different forms of therapy. But the only problem is I'm an entrepreneur and so are you. So you like high efficiency.
Right.
And I was looking at like the success rate of traditional therapy. It was
Right.
it was 38% on an average, but get this,
Right.
22 to 26 sessions. So
I know.
I was like, okay, first off, I wouldn't pay somebody to do that. So I'm not going to do that. So let me like figure out another avenue.
That's
And then I
funny.
came across this headline, very biased headline, but it caught me to click. It got me to click and it said 100% better than therapy 100% of the time. I was like, what's that? I go through this long article and it's just talking about how there's this like this crazy idea, but what it does is it helps people quickly drop addictions. It helps people quickly get over like lifelong issues like
Mhm,
very
mhm,
fast. And then it ended with it's this thing called hypnosis. But I saw that a hypnotist wrote it. And so when I saw that, I was like, okay, it's a pretty biased article. So let me experience this for myself. Cause
mhm,
like if I can't internally validate something, I won't like buy into it. And
mhm.
so I was like, okay, I have a fear of public speaking. I had a big fear of public speaking. I don't know if you caught this yet, Nina, but I have two speech impediments. I can't say my R's correctly. I got really good at them. Like they sound pretty good. There's some words I can't really say, like I struggle saying. And then my S's, I have a pretty obvious lisp.
Mhm.
And so I grew up with a lot of social anxiety. I didn't want to talk, right? Because
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I feel like people
Yeah.
would laugh. I got laughed at a lot. And so I was like, people are gonna laugh at me. So I'm gonna just stay quiet. So I had to
Who's
always
laughing now, Adrian?
right,
Who's
exactly, right,
laughing now?
exactly.
You don't need an
And
S or a R to laugh. So
all right, there you go. Perfect. I love it. And I just said perfect, pretty good.
yeah, you
But
did.
um I was like, I really want to start a podcast. I really want to do speaking. Like I love seeing people on stage. I would love to do that. And I was like, but I'm scared of doing it. Okay, so let me hire a hypnotist to see if this stuff works. So I hired a hypnotist, did the entire session over the phone, right? Like I get
Hmm.
hypnotized over the phone, not even like on Skype or anything.
Right.
And I got out of it, launched a very successful podcast. I do like 70% of my revenue comes from speaking now. And like it worked. And so when it worked, I was like, holy crap, this thing is real. So
Right.
that's where I deep dive into understanding how to actually use hypnosis. And that led me to the word of NLP and a lot of different timeline regression therapies. And it got me to where I am right now. So that's how I like
Right.
got to right here. So I know that's a very long-winded answer
No,
for
I
your
love
very
that.
short question, but I wanted you to have some context around this entire thing and like how this happened.
Yeah, that's really cool, right? Because it's always about that first step, right? And that's what I tell people, like, don't get intimidated with whatever you're trying to learn because you don't know shit. None of us know anything
None
when
of
we're
us do.
first learning. None of us know anything when we're first learning. And I think that that's one of the things I love social media. I think there's a lot of positive to it, right? And you and I, as people who do go out and speak and are podcasters and stuff, broadcasting is also a big deal, right? I think it's also been to the detriment of some things because people are expecting quick, fast, now results.
Oh
Like
yeah.
they think that they're supposed to know all that. But I had the same like very similar experience because I'm like, okay, I'm very curious about the mind. I need to know why I keep doing certain patterns that I keep doing,
Why I keep
that
doing
kind.
things.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And then when it went in, that's why I got into NLP and then master NLP and the blah 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 and then so on. And Joe was one of the first few people I
Oh
got
yeah.
into as well. I was like, oh, this
Phenomenal.
guy's good. Yeah,
I'm actually
phenomenal.
working
Yeah.
with his team to I we may talk about this, but I built a company for children
Mhm.
because after I
Awesome.
did so much hypnosis, I saw that a lot of these problems had their root in childhood. So I
Mhm.
was like, what if I built a company that gave kids these tools so they wouldn't have to hire me
Right.
in the future? But
That's awesome.
we got Dr. Joe Dispenza's three of his head coaches. They're going to be teaching the children how to do what Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches. So
That's great.
it's crazy how it all came around. Very
Yeah,
interesting.
that is now let me ask you a more personal question. The weight that that you lost, was that before this journey of discovering, or
Oh,
was
yeah,
that
that was
before?
yeah, that was
Okay.
before because like, that didn't I was like, yeah, I was just l I was very lost and, like, put it to give you some like, to give you a good, like, picture of, like, how it was, I was looking for a job that paid, like, 40K a year, and I can get, like, a 401k. Like, that was,
Mhm.
like, my focus. I was like, "Maybe I can just get, like, a secure job." And, like, that was there's nothing wrong with that, but, like,
Right.
that's where my level of thinking was, and
Right.
then it wasn't until, like, 70 pounds down that I stumbled upon the teachings of Abraham, the law of attraction. And
Mhm.
then once I started like looking into that, I was like, oh my God, there's something way bigger than what I'm seeing. And then that, like, I just followed my curiosity from that point. But yeah, so it started
What
in the midst of the weight loss.
what made you start the weight loss though? Because I know that you told me you were, teased and stuff like that. And that is usually a big reason why people, go to something, whether it's
Mhm,
weight gain, whether it's
mhm.
a drug addiction, drinking, whatever it is, right? So what was that moment for you? What was
Yeah,
it when you said, because everybody has a day one, right? So what
yeah,
was
yeah,
that?
and that's what it
Yeah,
was for me. So
yeah.
middle school, I lost my first round away. I lost like 50 pounds in middle school, and I got in shape, and then I stayed in shape all through freshman year to junior year, and then junior year of high school, right? I had a six pack, like I was in shape, and in junior year of high school, the girl that I was with, we were together. I knew her for 7 years. We were dating for three and a half. She up and told me one day, "Hey, I'm pregnant, and it's basically not yours." Right? And so
Ouch.
my whole heart just, like, my
Yeah.
entire world just, like, shut down, and in that moment, I decided that there's no there's no point, right? And so within 4
Mm,
years, I gained 100 pounds from that point on.
wow.
Fast forward 4 years, that's 25 pounds a year. I blew up. It was a
Right.
very quick, like, very quick, explosion basically. And then one day, I'm laying on the couch, all honesty, I just rolled up a blunt and I just called up my friend who lived next door, and I was like, "Hey, I'm about to smoke. Like, you want to come over and just smoke with me?" And he was like, "Sure, I'll be there." So he rings the doorbell. I get off of the couch and I walk over to the front door to open it. But as I walk over, I didn't have my shirt on. My shirt was off. I'm not just saying that to be sexy, but that was an important part of the story. My shirt was
Right.
off and my shirt was hanging on the chair. So as I walked by the chair, I stopped and I was like, should I put on my shirt? I was like, you know what? Nah, it's just Gilbert. Like, nah, I don't like, there's not like a beautiful girl out there. No.
Right.
So I just keep walking, open up the door, and 5 words changed my entire life. Damn, Adrian, you got fat. The moment I heard that, it stung. I don't even know what it was about the way he said
Right,
it, but
right.
something stung to the point where I got so upset, not at him, but at myself, that I let
Mm,
that happen. And then the next day, I woke up at 8 a.m. and I haven't stopped since.
that's awesome. And I mean, that's good that you had that mindset and discipline too, right? Because you could have went both ways. You could have also taken that and made it get you even deeper, which has happened
Deeper.
to a lot, right?
Yes.
Which has happened to a lot of people, right?
Yep.
So for you but that key word right there was I got mad or got looked at myself. Because you
That
could
was
have
it.
blamed him. Oh, what kind of friend is he? I'm over here giving him a blunt. This is how you gonna talk to me.
This is how
You
you
know what I'm
show
saying?
up. Like,
That's how you come to my house. I'm giving you weed. What's wrong with you?
I
You
didn't
know?
even think of that. I didn't even think of that. It's so funny. No, but no, it's like I like love the shit out of Gilbert because I'm like,
Yeah.
man, like, dude, if like people were saying I was gaining weight, but nobody was that direct with me, and that's what did it really.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really glad that you changed your life like that and that you used it to help other people though, because you got into the fitness space and you didn't have to
Yeah,
do that either, right? These are intentional decisions that you're making, right?
absolutely.
And because you could have just lost the weight or not. I mean, it's really your decision. So I
Mhm.
love that you did that. And this is like something I love about NLP too, is like once you start to realize that it's your emotion that you put onto something, it's not that something's right or wrong. It just is. And
Exactly,
then
yep.
whatever you put to it is what it is. Right. So I'm glad that you
Facts.
decided to do that. So tell me then, that journey, that was a hard journey, I'm sure, right? Because that's not easy. 100
Honestly,
pounds
it
is
was
hard.
challenging. It was
Mhm.
challenging, but emotionally, it was easy, and what I mean by that was I was like the moment I made the decision to lose weight, I
Mhm.
automatically changed my way of like the way I saw myself. I woke up the next morning in my mind, I was fit. In my
Right.
mind, I was the
Right.
bodybuilder again. In my
Right.
mind, that was me all over again. So like like the rustle of like I don't want to do this. Oh man, this sucks. Oh, this is hard. I don't want to eat this. It sincerely wasn't there for me because my way of seeing myself,
Right.
which is the self concept, the way you
Right.
see yourself is going to be you have to act congruent to your perception of yourself. And
Right.
the moment I made that decision to lose weight, I didn't just make a decision to lose weight. I made a decision to lose the person who gained it. I made a decision to change the entire way that I saw myself, and that
Right.
was really everything.
That's good. So then let me push that envelope a little bit. So what happens now, right? Because you're fair. You look young to me, so I don't know. So how long has it been
25,
since?
no,
Okay, so you're pretty.
26.
So it's been about what, like 7 years? 7 years since you've lost the weight, right? 7.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So what do you do now, Adrian? Like just so my audience can understand, like what do you do now when you get hit with something hard? Because we all do. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how
Yeah.
much hypnosis you are. You can't hypnosis your way out of a bad ass situation that comes at you and you didn't know was coming, right? So
Yeah.
what do you do now? Like what's a tip you can give people, like, because I want to talk to people who are struggling maybe with,
hmm
I don't know if it's health, but also with just their mindset and thinking that they can't get past something. So what do you do to not get Adrian to go back to that
Mm.
place?
Great question. So one of the biggest mistakes I see people making, especially like entrepreneurs or leaders, is denying their experience. And what I
Yes.
mean
Oh,
by
that's
that
good.
is they do not embrace the reality of their experience. When I say your experience, I do not mean your circumstances. I mean your experience of those circumstances. So, for example, when we
That's
launched
good.
Zamio, which is my company for kids, when we launched that company, um, it did not go well. I started losing money right off the bat, and it was just not going the way I wanted it to go.
Mhm.
And I get extremely anxious because all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I just put this money into, oh, I'm going to fail. Like, I'm not going to be able to make this work. I start getting super scared. And at that moment, I said, I can do one of two things right now. Number one is I can head down, find a solution, and keep going. Or
Mhm.
number two, I can be real with my emotional experience and I can feel it all the way through. And then I will have the space to think about a
Mhm.
solution, to
Mhm.
think
Mhm.
about a way out. So basically, what I do when I experience events that make me feel like struggling, that make me feel heavy, down, out, whatever that emotional experience is,
Mhm.
belly breathing is the number one way I get
Mhm.
myself through
Mhm.
experiences. It's actually
Mhm.
breathing from my diaphragm. It
That's
sounds
right.
so simple, but the most life-changing thing I've ever done is learn how to breathe again. Learning how to breathe again because breath
That's
connects
right.
you with this moment. When you're feeling something tough, when you're feeling something that doesn't feel good, ignoring it is impossible. You can ignore it, but your subconscious and your somatic body will not, your nervous system won't ignore it. Your nervous
That's
system's going to
right.
store it somewhere.
That's
And
right.
so it's not like I have this strategy, this way of making decisions, this way of, it's not that I have these things like that. For me, it's, I'm going to actually feel my entire experience because at 4 years old, I witnessed my parents split up. And that scared the shit out of me to the point where I didn't think I was safe anymore. And I
Right.
didn't feel that until I was 24 years old. And the moment I felt what that little boy felt, my business started taking off.
Right.
Everything started taking off.
Yep.
So when these things happen, I asked myself one question: what would 4-year-old Adrian need in this moment?
That's
Who
right.
would he need me to be? And I make decisions for that little boy. And when I make decisions with that perspective, and when I live with that perspective, I actually feel everything in my space. So
Right.
breath work is the number one thing that I do, breathing from the belly, the way that we're designed to breathe. So that's my answer to that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, like that's one of these moments. You know what I'm saying? See that? You
Yeah,
see that?
that's like a mic drop. Like that's
That's a
like
mic drop moment.
I want people to understand like
That's good.
what's happening in your life, the vessel that's happening, it is coming through breath.
Right.
Breath is absolutely everything, and
Right.
when you learn how to live with it and live in breath, you can get through anything. That's resilience, the ability to bend and come back to yourself.
Yeah, that's right. And I what I love is there's a couple of important things that while you were talking were coming to mind was, when you were not actually connecting with what you were feeling and feeling it all the way through
All the
is
way.
why you gained the weight because you were stuffing it. You weren't
Yes.
feeling it. You were stuffing, right?
Literally,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
That's like a biological truth right there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And no, I know because that's something that I'm overcoming in my life as well. So I
Mhm.
get it. And then I did all this work on me too. And I realized, wow, because I have a lot of trauma from my past, right? But I've gotten through now the trauma,
Mhm.
right?
Exactly,
So
and
now I see me and I love me. Man, I'm all that in a
yes,
bag of chips.
yes.
What?
If
Right.
you're not in
So
love with you, who else is going to be, right?
right, right. So that's really powerful. Now tell me about what you are doing with the neural remapping,
Mhm.
right? This and also the hypnosis and stuff. What do you do with your clients?
Yeah. So, for example, one of my clients came to me. He was making about 80 to like $90,000 a month, and he was like, "Adrian, for some reason, I've hit 100K 4 times in a month." He goes, "Every single time I hit that number, I make very dumb decisions. I start burning a lot of cash. Clients start dropping off. We start getting all kinds of refunds." He goes, "Shit just hits the fan every time I hit this number." And so I was like, all right, well, let's figure out what's going on. And so what neuro remapping is designed to do is to get down to the root cause within minutes as opposed to doing it through weeks, months, through like other kinds of therapy. And so in his case, I utilize timeline regression as a part of neuro
Hmm.
remapping,
Hmm.
and it takes them back to particular moments in life. And in this client's case, he went back to a moment of him at 5 years old,
Hmm.
waking, it was Christmas morning, and he's sitting there with the letter for his dad and a letter for his mom. That was his birthday. I mean, that was his Christmas present for them, right? He wrote little letters. And he's sitting there with his sister. His mom walks out of the room with a long face. And she sits down and she doesn't waste any time. She goes, "Your dad left us last night and he went off with another woman." And in that moment, he did something that every one of us do. We come to conclusions about what is true based
Right.
off of an event. And so in that moment, he said, "So what you love gets ripped away from you." That became a story. That became a belief that it didn't live in his mind, but also in his nervous system. And so every time he started making this amount of money, it's going to be
Right.
taken
Right.
away from me. So
Hmm.
guess what he would do? He would literally do things to get it
To get
taken
rid of it.
away from him.
Right.
And so what neuro remapping is designed to do is to find that part of yourself, embrace that part of yourself, feel that part of yourself,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
let it go. And so in
Hmm.
this client's case, he felt all the anger that little 5-year-old boy felt. And as of today, he does just under 500,000 a month. And it didn't happen because he started doing different things. It happened because he became a different person. What
Yep.
you do, it doesn't matter. It's about who you're being when you do what you do. And another very quick story was another client had a big fear of putting this book out. Very successful real estate agent, made a boatload of money, but he was like, "I'm in this phase of my life where like I feel like I need to live in my purpose, and my purpose is really helping women get their finances in order before they ever get married." That was like his big thing, right? And he just kept procrastinating on it. And so whenever we did the work, whenever we did neuro remapping, he went back to a moment where he was 4 years old. All of his cousins were talking, and he says something. And the moment he speaks up, his oldest cousin, who was like 9, says, "Shut up, Alex. Nobody wants to hear you." And
Ooh.
in that
Hmm.
moment, my client at 4 years old goes, "Oh, my voice doesn't matter." stuck with them, right?
Yep.
Because what happens when you
Yep.
make a conclusion about what's true, you internalize it, you emotionalize it, and then you normalize it. And so in
Right.
this case, he normalized, and here was at 38 years old, wanting to shit bricks at the thought of putting his book out. Why? Because
Mm-hmm.
your voice don't matter. So of
Right.
course you're going to procrastinate on it. So neuro-remapping is literally designed to highlight. It's like you're in a dark warehouse. You're trying to find your way out, but you have no
Right.
idea how to get out. Neuro-remapping is the flashlight that shows you out the door. It's like, hey, it's pitch black, but here's a flashlight and it's fully charged. Just turn it on, turn it out, and you're going to
Mm-hmm.
see that there's a
Mm-hmm.
way out of this. And so it basically it helps people find the part of themselves that they've been denying. Remember, I said the
Mm-hmm.
biggest problem is denying your experience.
That's
So it
right.
finds the part of yourself that you're denying so you can make peace with it. And once you make peace with it by default, it's by law. I don't need to sit here and give you new suggestions. I don't need to sit here and like tell you you're amazing. You know all of that in your nervous system already. My job is not to program you. My job is to deprogram you from this
Right.
programs that you put on yourself.
That's
So
right.
that is exactly what neuro-remapping does. And I'm having the time of my freaking life doing it. And
Yeah.
but that's also where like Zamio came to me, right? Was doing all of this stuff, and oh my god, it's kids that I'm working with at the end of the day,
Yeah.
and so that's
That's
basically how.
good.
And so it's
Yeah,
like
that's good.
it's not about helping people grow their business through teaching them strategies and tactics. It's about opening up the emotional capacity to win at that level.
Yeah.
Because the only reason people win at such a high level is because they actually have the capacity to do that. And so it's
Right.
about opening up that capacity, that container, because you can't put a shark in a fish tank. You can put it in an ocean though. And
Mm-hmm.
so you need to make sure that you turn that fish tank into that ocean so you can
That's
hold what you
awesome.
want.
That's a good visual. So tell me about the Zamio. Is it Zamio you said?
Yes,
Zamio.
Amio,
Yeah. Tell me
ZAMIO.
tell me a little bit about that because that's a really smart way to do it, right? Because you're literally dealing with the kid that would be maybe having some trauma or things, not maybe, will
Yeah.
have trauma and stuff that comes to them. So tell me a little bit about what you're doing there with the
Yeah.
kids.
So Zamio stands for Zamio. Zamio comes from the word Zamiolacus, which is one of the most resilient plants in the world. And to me, resiliency is the ability to bend and come back, right? The ability to bend and come back to yourself. When I say come back to yourself, I mean come back to the fact that you're loved, worthy, and deserving, and of everything that you want. And what Zamio is designed to do is it's an educational platform. Think of a mind valley for kids, right? And
That's
so
good.
it's basically designed to take them through this learning experience where they're learning all the pillars of emotional intelligence. Because my job is not to make life, not to take away the challenges out of their life. I actually want
Mm-hmm.
them to have challenges, and I want them to be able to go through life and experience a moment like my client did, right? Where,
Mm-hmm.
hey, shut up, nobody likes you, right? Maybe they're 7 years old and someone says, shut up, nobody likes you. Yeah, they
Mm-hmm.
may like, oh man, that sucks. But they're like, you know what? I know how to use my breath. I know how to use my imagination in a way to take me back to the fact that in my nervous system, I am enough, and that kid is probably just hurt. And it has
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do with me. It has everything to do. I have compassion for that kid. I have empathy. So
Mm-hmm.
it's basically designed to take them through and we gamified it. So it's like a Kajabi course, but we gamified it. So it has like points, badges, avatars, leaderboards, and like this whole
That's good.
little like
Yeah.
experience for them. So they want to learn. And by the end of it, the entire thing is like, by the end of this thing, you're going to have the skills and the tools that your mom and your dad desperately needed growing up. And
Yeah.
that way, as they grow up, yeah, they're going to experience challenges because an emotion can live. Emotions are designed to wear out within 3 to 5 minutes, or you can ignore it and it can be there for five
Mm-hmm.
decades. And
Right.
so my entire thing is teaching these kids how to actually feel their entire experience. So no matter what they go through,
Mm-hmm.
they're
Mm-hmm.
always coming back to themselves. And that's where Zamio came from. And honestly, that's like my forever right there. Like I'm like, I've never been so excited about building something in my life. Like this is the funnest
Right.
thing I've ever done. And it means a lot to me. And it started a lot because working with all these adults really with their inner child, it gave me a passion for helping kids. But I believe you
Mm-hmm.
can have passion without urgency, and so I had
Right.
passion. And then one day, my business partner sent me a photo of a lifeless 8-year-old boy who lost his life to suicide.
Mm,
8 years old. And when I saw that, I looked up suicide for kids, and I saw it was the second leading cause of death. And when I saw that, our urgency kicked in, and within
yeah.
like 4 months, we had launched our product, and it was
Right.
like a very quick, we're gonna get this thing out there. And so right now it's like kind of MVP stage, but we're
Yeah.
taking on customers and we're learning as we build. So
Yeah.
it's like a huge, huge part of my life right now.
That's great. That's really fantastic. And that's a call to action, right? That's seeing something that there's a need for and actually filling that need because
Exactly.
a lot of times we just don't give kids enough credit. And I say that because being a kid of trauma myself, I remember a lot of the things when I was a kid and the trauma, and I remember thinking like an adult, like this is wrong, this shouldn't be happening to me. This is inappropriate for an adult, like that kind of stuff as a child. And I so that's why when I look at children or I talk to them, I don't baby talk to
They're
children.
geniuses. You're
They
freak.
really, really
By the way,
are.
the gamification of Zamio came to me through my 10-year-old nephew. I sat down with
Mhm.
him. I was like, "So I want to do this thing. What do you think?" He was like, sounds cool, but what if you did this?" And I was like, "What the heck?" So like
Right.
they are literal geniuses.
Yeah,
And
they are.
so my thing is like helping them realize more of that. And
Right.
so they never feel like they're not good, worthy, and deserving, because there's nobody in the world who is not good, worthy, and deserving. Not even somebody sitting on the street. Like, they're worthy of everything that they
Oh, of
want,
course.
And
Absolutely.
so that's yeah,
Absolutely.
that's my that's
Good
my
for
baby right
you.
there.
Good for
Yeah.
you. Now, is there an age group
Yeah,
you're
so right now we're targeting, we do strive for 5 to 18, as we like, that's like the vision. But right
yeah.
now it's 6 to 9.
Okay.
We tested younger. Some of the concepts were hard for them to understand. We tested older, and they were like, "Oh, this is a little too babyish," right? Because
Okay.
we're very like,
That's good.
yeah, we wanted to make it fun. So right now, 6 to 9 year olds are really hitting for us.
Okay.
And as we grow, we're gonna start bringing in different things. But that's all. That's why I was like in contact with the Spenza team, because we want to bring that in as well, because it's a
That's so
powerful
cool.
process. So it's the high level concept, though, is a mind valley for kids.
That's awesome. Oh man, you're killing it, Adrian.
Trying,
No
I'm
wonder,
trying,
no
I'm
wonder
trying.
you're like all excited coming on to Straight Talk. You got a lot of good stuff going on. All right, so before I let you go, because I know people are listening and your energy is infectious, so I know they love you. Let us know how they reach out to you, how they support you, how they work with you, all that kind of great stuff.
For sure, for sure. So if you want to actually, I think the best way to learn from me is through experience, right? So if you want to experience what Neuro-Remapping is all about without having to get on a one-on-one session with me, just go to, and I'm sure Nina will drop this in the show notes, but just
Yep.
go to rewiremythoughts.com/unshakable. And what that's going to do is that's going to take you to a video where I am going to take you through at a level, because I can't do it fully because it's not one-on-one, but I'm going to take you through an experience where you're going to meet a part of yourself, and you can make some peace with that. I've had people have phenomenal changes in their life just through one sitting. So you can go there, and if you want to work directly with me, same URL, just instead of unshakable, just /apply, and you can learn from me there.
Awesome. What? I really like you, Adrian. I'm glad you came on.
Thank
Thank
you, Nina.
you.
I really
Thank you.
appreciate you. I really
I'm really
appreciate
glad.
you.
Thank you. Guys, you heard him, right? I mean, I told you, grow, challenge, transform your thinking. This is the dude. So make sure that you go onto his website. I'm going to make sure, like he said, all of it will be in the show notes. You guys have to connect with him, have to connect with his project. And I cannot wait to hear and see more of the children's project as well, because that's super exciting. Like, really, really is. And I know it's a lot of work. I
Oh,
know it
wow.
is.
Yeah, it's a
I
lot. So yeah,
know
but
it is.
yeah, if you're interested in that, just go to zamio.co. Zamio is exactly how you think it would be
Okay.
spelled, ZAMIO, and you can
Okay.
learn about like the actual platform. But that's
Oh, good.
so yeah, that's
So
my baby there.
Zamio.co. Got it. Got it.
Zamio.co. Somebody
We
had to
got to put that
come.
in the notes. Yes.
Yes, yeah. But so yeah, so that's where that's the best place to reach out to me. And just know, when you download my stuff, I will be showing up in your email to drop a lot more value. So keep your eye on that.
That's right. Guys, thank you so much. Adrian, thank you so much. Nina Perez, straight talk, no sugar added. Until next time.